Welcome to this video. Today, I'll give you an introduction to Sycon's new plugin, LumaRange, and its groundbreaking zone masks, inspired by Ansel Adams and his zone system. Let's start right away with Luminosity Masks and how they're applied to this image. Luminosity Masks are selection masks based on pixel brightness. In practice, they allow us to precisely isolate the brightest areas, the midtones, or the shadow regions of a photo. These masks are incredibly helpful in editing because they let us make targeted adjustments without affecting the entire image. Now let's move on to Tonality Mask. These masks work similarly to Luminosity Mask, but instead of operating on brightness, they act on color tone, that is, on the warm and cool tones within the image. Here too, we have a division into light, mid, and dark, but separated for each range. We therefore have cold light, cold mid, and cold dark on one side, and warm light, warm mid, and warm dark on the other. This allows for very precise adjustments. Now let's talk about the zone mask, inspired by Ansel Adams' famous zone system. This method, born in the analog era, was designed to control the exposure and tonal range of a photograph by dividing the grayscale into different zones, from the deepest shadows to the brightest highlights. The zone mask brings that same principle into the digital world. It creates extremely precise selection masks, each corresponding to a specific band of brightness. In practice, while the luminosity mask divide light into broader groups, dark, midtones, and lights, the zone mask go much further in detail. Each zone represents a narrow interval of brightness. For example, Zone 0 for the deepest shadows, Zone 5 for the midtones, and Zone 10 for the brightest highlights. The essential difference lies in precision. Luminosity masks are ideal for broad light adjustments, whereas zone masks allow fine, gradual control over every tonal level. Almost like sculpting light within the photograph. It's a more technical approach, but it offers a degree of control that closely mirrors what Ansel Adams achieved in the darkroom with his zone system. In this example, we're working on a black and white photo, but as we'll see later, the same process can easily be applied to color images as well. The ideal approach is to create one layer for each zone mask, starting from the darkest zones. Slightly darken the deepest areas using curves, then gradually increase the brightness as you move toward the lighter zones. The same logic applies to the highlights. Start from the less bright areas and increase the luminosity step by step until you reach the brightest zones. This creates a very smooth transition between shadows and highlights, without harsh edges or loss of detail. The big advantage of this method is the complete control over tonal contrast. You can shape the light exactly where you need it, almost as if you were sculpting the image. Unlike luminosity masks, which work on broader groups of brightness, zone masks let you work in a much more precise and gradual way, giving a beautifully natural result. This approach also helps to preserve texture and depth, since each zone receives only the amount of adjustment it really needs, without flattening or blowing out details. It's the perfect technique when you want to achieve a black and white image full of subtle tones, or a color photo with refined, three-dimensional contrast. Moving over to the Editing tab, we can find many tools ready for image enhancement, such as the Orton effect, sharpness, digital noise, and much more. We'll explore all of these in detail in another video. Now, let's apply the same zone mask technique to a color photo. You'll notice that, with just a few simple steps, we can achieve a three-dimensional contrast that's coherent and perfectly balanced. The basic idea remains the same. For each dark zone mask, start by slightly lowering the curve. For example, -10 on the darkest zone, -8 on the next one, then -6, and so on. This way, the shadows are shaped gradually, keeping detail and depth without crushing the tones. The same principle applies to the zone masks for the highlights, but in the opposite direction. Here we increase the brightness step by step. So you can start with +6 or +8 on the softer highlight zones and move up to +10 or more for the brightest areas. This controlled progression, from dark to light, allows you to sculpt the light naturally, avoiding harsh contrasts and giving a realistic sense of depth and color harmony. The final result, is an image that feels alive, with well-defined volume and smooth tonal transitions, just like in the classic black and white zone system, but with the full richness of digital color. This operation, however, slightly reduces the color intensity, but no problem. We just need to go to the saturation mask, which will automatically select the less saturated areas, allowing us to work on them without oversaturating the entire image. You can notice the difference clearly when the mask is disabled. That's it for this overview. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. In the upcoming start to finish videos, we'll dive even deeper and explore all the advanced and unique features in detail. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.